Hello, my name is Sekit. We are still playing Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is not a horror game, but the world we are in and its lore are certainly at least horror adjacent. Now, last time, I ended by talking about how the player and many of the other characters in town are like old school Luddites. Not people who hate technology, but people who won't use technology and dislike technology that does something people can already do, only worse, and puts people out of work. Now, our man Clint here is a perfect example. We don't have any more tools we can buy for him. He's a blacksmith, right? Like, we see blacksmith tools, there's a forge, there's an anvil. He does have a radio, and as you talk to him, he's following in his father's footsteps, but also, if you talk to him long enough, he'll eventually tell you that he wants to save up to buy a computer, right? Like, he's not a blacksmith because he wants to live in the past. It's just the best way to do most of these things without resort to magic, like, forging things. But it's Clint who knows how to work iridium. He's, except for you, he's pretty much the only guy who can actually do something with it that is of direct use to you, in his case, in terms of the tools. Now, Clint, he even goes down to the mines. He talks about it several times. He won't sell us an iridium-infused mace. I wish he would. Our main man, Pierre, here, on the other hand, is not. If you talk to Pierre long enough, he'll tell you that it's his dream to start a chain of stores. It's not clear that Pierre, allowed to fulfill all of his ambitions, would be any better than Jojimar, honestly. Now, it matters somewhat to the town which way you choose. You'll either have a community center here, or you'll have Jojimart over there where the movie theater is now, and you'll have the movie theater here. Either way, you get a movie theater, and either way, and this is important, you can complete the game. Now, if it doesn't matter whether you go the community center route or whether you go to the JoJo route, it don't matter much to the town, doesn't matter to the win state of the game, then we can competently say that JoJo versus Pierre, or JoJo versus the community center, however you want to put it, that is not the central conflict of the game. It is not why the player is here. So, what is? Why is the player here? I mean, the simple answer is because Grandpa, but why would Grandpa? What's Grandpa's deal? How is he so powerful? What was he doing here? The answer, as with many things in Stardew Valley, is given to us by the game. And in this case, the answer is color. We talk quite a bit in the second episode of this series about the importance of purple. Today, we need to talk about green. Now, color is generally important in the game. Everybody here has a different color hair that goes with a different color of stone. We have ruby and amethyst, and I want to say topaz here. We'll see the other ones. The emerald, and there's the jade. Now, I've never seen this cutscene, so I don't know if we're going to see anything interesting or if it's just going to illustrate the sort of color relationships that are going on. Her hair is blue, but, her dress is red, and, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but, it's... Now, in the last episode, we talked about how the galaxy soul here can be interpreted as a map of the universe. We have radiance or solar at the center, with void all around it. Those two can't exist without each other. And then either surrounding them, binding them, or part of its fabric, we have all the colors that you get with light when it goes through a prism. Now, we've talked a long time about the Wizard's association with iridium and purple, and today we're going to be talking a lot about green, so it's important to note that on the Galaxy Soul, we see purple and green opposite each other. They're in opposition and they're theoretically in balance. Now, of course, in reality, that's not how green and purple work, but it is how they seem to work here. The Wizard's association with iridium has given him a lot of purple aspects to his character. Green, on the other hand, as you progress through the game, prisms become very important. The prismatic shard is, what you use to get enchantments on your tools and stuff. And, you're not the only one interested in it. The other person who's interested in the prism and the colors within, and who clearly is on a side, is the wizard. So yeah, prismatic things, very interesting. Over here, Rasmodius sent us after this guy. That's the prismatic slime. Rasmodius knows when he's down here. I mean, obviously it becomes down here because you accept the quest. But it's very important to Rasmodius. We got a little prismatic jelly. Now, like Rasmodius tells us, the prismatic jelly that we gave him some insights into, whatever's making them like this. First year you're in the valley, you'll see some green rain. You don't really know it's anything unusual till you go into town and everybody's hiding in the bar freaking out. Or most everybody. Old Rasmodius is still in his tower. Overnight, friends. All this. And Abigail was not wrong about what she referred to as strange trees. I understand why she saw it as a tree. This is not a tree. That's a giant fiddlehead fern. You'll see it a little more clearly if we chop it down here. And wood it's dropping. Shadow people don't know what it is. The wizard, he knows what it is, he ain't saying. Dwarf knows it's happening. Doesn't have much to say. Pam, for what it's worth, thinks it's Yoba, or something. Now everybody's got an opinion, but I think Rasmodius's opinion is the interesting one. Like, this is nature doing something. Now, during the green rain, some of your tech doesn't work. Some of it does. Now, the Witch's Swamp isn't affected by the weather. And, neither is Ginger Island. We can sort of see the tint, though. So we have, the game is definitely telling us that green and purple are opposed to each other. We've got green affecting nature in a pretty negative way, clearly. Is it in response to something? Well, some people certainly seem to think it is. Leo digs it. Linus, completely unbothered. So is the wizard, our purple guy. He's associated with the kind of magic associated with iridium. Got this green rain, he's saying it has something to do with nature. Well, if he's purple, who's green? Yeah, his ex-wife. Now, down here, we see it even a little more clearly. We got the purple snake and the green snake on opposite sides of the screen from each other, and we got the skull with one purple eye and one green eye. Now tomorrow, when we come back here, the place is going to be pretty wild. Things get very strange down here. It might have something to do with Mr. Key. Why they all have sunglasses? Mr. Key's the only guy that wears sunglasses around here that I'm aware of. So it could. But there's something more interesting down here, and probably won't take us too long to find. Ah, here we are. It actually took longer than I thought. That is what's called in the game anyway, a radioactive node. We get radioactive ore, glowing with dangerous energy. Now, the game tells us that it's dangerous. And I believe it. But is it the same danger that we associate? Oh, there's a woodpecker. That we associate with radioactivity? And no, I don't think so. Now, here's the thing. What you actually are mostly using this stuff for? We got the heavy tapper. That increases the rate that trees produce stuff. We have magic bait. We have, well, there's the hopper, which is a curious case. There are a few other things here and there, if I can spot them. We've got the challenge. No, that's not it. There's something else up here. I want to say it's in the fertilizers. There's the deluxe retaining soil. Ah, hyper speed grow. Yeah, so greatly stimulates leaf production. And deluxe fertilizer uses iridium. Now, we can kind of count a green, right, going up here with the speed grow. Fertilizer doesn't really give us that same track, but when you think about what you actually use the radioactive stuff for, it's very clearly associated with nature. Now, purple and green, magic and nature, iridium and radioactive, what have you. The galaxy soul shows us that they're supposed to be in opposition, but they're also supposed to be balanced. We saw in the bottom of the mine that, the one can contain the other when the two are in balance. We also know that Mr. Key perhaps has something to do with things being out of balance because he can put Skull Cavern and the mines into that dangerous state. He's also the one who leaves us the note the first time we go down to the shrine at the bottom of Skull Cavern in a dangerous state. He tells us he shut it off. We can come back the next day. Here, though, nature and magic are out of balance. There's all kinds of magic There's all kinds of magic in this world, and it seems to be concentrated in Stardew Valley, given that a giant meteor full of iridium, and iridium appears to be the basis of magic, hit here. So, there's all this magic. The elves, as I noted in previous episodes, appear to have devolved into mummies and similar. They are no longer there to provide balance against the shadow. Everything's out of balance. Now, like the wizard told us, nature being very powerful. It looks like nature is trying to rectify the balance by maybe pouring down this green rain and trying to puke up this what we're calling radioactive ore out of the depths of the earth, and perhaps to try to bring balance. However, the way nature is doing it is perhaps not great for people. As we go through our journey in the valley, not only will we find viable dinosaur eggs, but we'll find living dinosaurs that drop fossilized bones. Now, that could be because video games, but, we don't only see fossilized bones. We see normal bones, and I think, one of the only places we get the fossilized vertebrate is possibly from those big dinosaurs down in Skull Cavern. Whatever is happening with nature and magic, has affected how time works here. It appears that the past and the present are existing simultaneously. Now, some of us, the Luddites in town, are just kind of riding it, though the rest just seem generally confused or they ignore it. Now, although the wizard is an interesting guy, he didn't bring us here. He certainly involves us in what he's doing. He clearly can't handle it himself. He can't even really deal with his ex-wife. What did the wizard do that was so upsetting to the witch? Now, we're told in Skull Cavern by the mummies and the slimes on the in the ciphers that are available on the walls that, in the case of the slimes, they were cursed by iridium. In the case of the mummies, who I believe are actually our missing elves, it was a wizard that put them down there, that sealed them in. We also know the wizard is very interested in color. He sends us out looking for that prismatic jelly, don't he? Now, we've already noted that Grandpa left us around a lot of iridium. Cliff, or Clint, whatever his name is, I forget. he helps us out with iridium. The wizard's obviously got a lot of iridium in his system. And there's a lot of green that's causing problems. The basic conflict of the game appears to be magic versus nature, and we are not on nature's side, folks. When we get to our farm, it's completely overgrown. Nature's had its way with it. Our job is to bring nature under control. We cultivate the land. We use it to feed ourselves, to earn a living, to do whatever we're gonna do with JoJo and the community center. And nature is fighting back. Now, whether nature started it or not is another question entirely. So if that's the conflict, what's the resolution? Well, it has to do with why nothing changes in Stardew Valley, and it has to do with what is typically the last thing a player who completes the game does. But we'll be talking about that in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching.